Job. Job, chapter 1. Many years ago, a man named Job lived in the land of Uz. He was a truly good person who respected God and refused to do evil. Job had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 pair of oxen, 500 donkeys, and a large number of servants. He was the richest person in the East. Job's sons took turns having feasts in their homes, and they always invited their 3 sisters to join in the eating and drinking. After each feast, Job would send for his children and perform a ceremony as a way of asking God to forgive them of any wrongs they may have done. He would get up early the next morning and offer a sacrifice for each of them, just in case they had sinned or silently cursed God. One day, when the angels had gathered around the Lord, and Satan was there with them, the Lord asked,
"Satan, where have you been?"
Satan replied,
"I have been going all over the earth."
Then the Lord asked,
"What do you think of my servant Job? No one on earth is like him. He is a truly good person who respects me and refuses to do evil."
"Why shouldn't he respect you?"
Satan remarked.
"You are like a wall, protecting not only him, but his entire family and all his property. You make him successful in whatever he does, and his flocks and herds are everywhere. Try taking away everything he owns, and he will curse you to your face."
The Lord replied,
"All right, Satan, do what you want with anything that belongs to him, but don't harm Job."
Then Satan left. Job's sons and daughters were having a feast in the home of his oldest son, when someone rushed up to Job and said,
"While your servants were plowing with your oxen and your donkeys were nearby eating grass, a gang of Sabaeans attacked and stole the oxen and donkeys. Your other servants were killed, and I was the only one who escaped to tell you."
That servant was still speaking when a second one came running up and saying,
"God sent down a fire that killed your sheep and your servants. I am the only one who escaped to tell you."
Before that servant finished speaking, a third one raced up and said,
"3 gangs of Chaldeans attacked and stole your camels. All of your other servants were killed, and I am the only one who escaped to tell you."
That servant was still speaking when a fourth one dashed up and said,
"Your children were having a feast and drinking wine at the home of your eldest son, when suddenly a windstorm from the desert blew the house down, crushing all of your children. I'm the only one who escaped to tell you."
When Job heard this, he tore his clothes and shaved his head because of his great sorrow. He knelt on the ground, then worshipped God and said,
"We bring nothing at birth, we take nothing with us at death. The Lord alone gives and takes. Praise the name of the Lord."
In spite of everything, Job did not sin or accuse God of doing wrong. Job, chapter 2. When the angels gathered around the Lord again, Satan was there with them. And the Lord asked,
"Satan, where have you been?"
Satan replied,
"I have been going all over the earth."
Then the Lord asked,
"What do you think of my servant Job? No one on earth is like him. He is a truly good person who respects me and refuses to do evil. And he hasn't changed, even though you persuaded me to destroy him for no reason."
Satan answered,
"There's no pain like your own. People will do anything to stay alive. Try striking Job's own body with pain, and he will curse you to your face."
"All right,"
the Lord replied.
"Make Job suffer as much as you want, but just don't kill him."
Satan left and caused painful sores to break out all over Job's body from head to toe. Then Job sat on the ash heap to show his sorrow. And while he was scraping his sores with a broken piece of pottery, his wife asked,
"Why do you still trust God? Why don't you curse him and die?"
Job replied,
Don't talk like a fool. If we accept blessings from God, we must accept trouble as well.
In all that happened, Job never once said anything against God. Eliphaz from Teman, Bildad from Shua, and Zophar from Naamah were three of Job's friends, and they heard about his troubles. So they agreed to visit Job and comfort him. When they came near enough to see Job, they could hardly recognize him, and in their great sorrow they tore their clothes, then sprinkled dust on their heads and cried bitterly. For 7 days and nights they sat silently on the ground beside him, because they realized what terrible pain he was in. Job chapter 3. Finally, Job cursed the day of his birth by saying to God,
Blot out the day of my birth and the night when my parents created a son. Forget about that day, cover it with darkness, and send thick, gloomy shadows to fill it with dread. Erase that night from the calendar and conceal it with darkness. Don't let children be created or joyful shouts be heard ever again in that night. Let those with magic powers place a curse on that day. Darken its morning stars and remove all hope of light, because it let me be born into a world of trouble. Why didn't I die at birth? Why was I accepted and allowed to nurse at my mother's breast? Now I would be at peace in the silent world below, with kings and their advisors whose palaces lie in ruins, and with rulers once rich with silver and gold. I wish I had been born dead, and then buried, never to see the light of day. In the world of the dead, the wicked and the weary rest without a worry. Everyone is there, where captives and slaves are free at last. Why does God let me live when life is miserable and so bitter? I keep longing for death more than I would seek a valuable treasure. Nothing could make me happier than to be in the grave. Why do I go on living when God has me surrounded and I can't see the road? Moaning and groaning are my food and drink, and my worst fears have all come true. I have no peace or rest, only troubles and worries.
Job chapter 4. Eliphaz from Teman said,
Please be patient and listen to what I have to say. Remember how your words have guided and encouraged many in need. But now you feel discouraged when struck by trouble. You respect God and live right, so don't lose hope. No truly innocent person has ever died young. In my experience, only those who plant seeds of evil harvest trouble. And then they are swept away by the angry breath of God. They may roar and growl like powerful lions, but when God breaks their teeth, they starve, and their children are scattered. A secret was told to me in a faint whisper. I was overcome by sleep, but disturbed by dreams. I trembled with fear, and my hair stood on end as a wind blew past my face. It stopped and stood still. Then a form appeared, a shapeless form, and from the silence I heard a voice say, No humans are innocent in the eyes of God, their Creator. He finds fault with his servants and even with his angels. Humans are formed from clay and are fragile as moths. So what chance do you have? Born after daybreak, you die before nightfall and disappear forever. Your tent pegs are pulled up and you leave this life having gained no wisdom.